terms of seriousness and how much you pay attention to your technique and your actual passion for lifting, we are 100% the top.
Yeah.
It's because we have more than 100 people dedicated to only lifting. That doesn't mean that they're the 100 of the strongest.
100%, yeah, exactly.
100% interested in making themselves better at a specific event.
What's up, guys and girls? Welcome to another episode of the Generation Strong Talk Show. My name is Ray. I'm joined by my trusted partner in crime, Jessie Akister, aka don't be fooled by the rocks that she's got. She's still Jessie from the block. I had to.
Every time it's a new one.
Anyways, today we have the pleasure of interviewing two awesome gentlemen who had a dream, had a similar passion, made it a career, made it possible, and now run one of the best companies in the Middle East, which supports the strength community in various ways. Desert Barbell. Patrick and Marco. I know I screwed that intro up a little bit, but welcome to the show.
It's okay, you did your best.
I tried. It's like I was just so distracted by the ladder moving by. I'm like, oh man, that just got me. Totally threw me off. Guys, dream come true?
Yep, it has, to be honest.
It has.
And it was, I mean, in like a lot of ways, but quite frankly, like how the first sketches looked that we had, or we can go back to the first initial drawing that me and Marco did, or like we pretty much did them separately from each other, and it kind of like looked 90% like this. And the first layout we got from Oscar at Eleiko, the first rendering of the club, is pretty much 99% as it look now, and that was like a year and a half ago or something. So
Empower that thought.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's a very special moment when we switched the lights on the first time.
I remember you posted it on.
I wanted to have more sound when we do that. It's not. It's click click click. There is no.
But in our heads, it's...
Yeah. So when I do it in the mornings, I actually do that sound effect. Feels better.
To come to think of it, that seems like a long time ago, man. Almost for me, it's like, fuck, you guys have been around for ages.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's since the club officially opened, and since we can officially call it a club, it's been like 6-7 months, and it's for us, for me at least, it still feels like yesterday that we actually opened. It's just kind of an absolute flash. A lot of moving parts, so it's been a busy few months.
Yeah, but as you say, the club is just the tip of the iceberg, or like the peak of the iceberg. But like all the basic work and all the other stuff was done during quite a few years.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, for us, it's just that exactly what Patrick says. It's the club is just the culmination of everything that came before that, and effectively it's just building a home for a community that that needed one.
It's just natural. Where did this idea start? Where did it begin? For people who don't know what the Desert Barbell story is and where you guys started with the hashtag, if you can just start from there.
I started on Fridays, pretty much on Warehouse Gym. That's where it started.
The Friday 10 a.m.s,
yeah.
9 a.m.s.
Yeah, like I was there 9 a.m.
I was there at 1 p.m.
About 11.
That was actually years
that
before
was
you were ever there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was probably a year and a half, 2 years before you ever were there.
Right. Yeah.
So that was before Jessie was there as a lifter. Jessie was there as a
CrossFitter. You were there too.
And we started to train on Fridays. I remember exactly the first day I met Jessie. I was squatting in Loriana's power rack, which is now known as Loriana's power rack. She will know what it means. So I was squatting there, and Joe and Jesse was standing like on the periphery, and I think I squatted like 200 or something, and I felt like 4 eyes standing staring at me, like I was like, what's wrong? So Jesse approached me after that and asked me if I competed and coaching powerlifting, and that's kind of like how we wheeled her in. And then the whole crew with Marco, Tarek, Omar, all those.
Ever since then, she's been trying to grow a beard too.
Oh yeah, I remember those pictures.
Which ones?
The beard was like
The beard.
tiny at that time.
Yeah, man, it's just, it takes time.
Time and care.
Yeah, time and care, like a lot of.
So what it effectively started as was a WhatsApp group, which wasn't even called Desert Barbell. It was, what was it at the time?
Powerlink.
No, that was after that. It was way after that. It was way before that. It was called. It was renamed to make Fridays great again, but it was like training on Fridays.
Really unique.
Some of the guys, like, I don't know, lost their interest, then we just renamed it to make Fridays great again. But maybe it was.
I can't remember, but it was just a WhatsApp group that we had, and
Yeah.
everyone would just talk about what they were going to do on the Friday and show up on Friday and train. And then that led to us organizing what was then the first Power Meet 1.0. That was September 2016. 2016, 2015, 2016.
16.
And shortly after that, we put a group together and we went to Sweden. Jesse was part of that one to actually experience what a real powerlifting competition looks like. And being at Patrick's home club in Luleå, it was the moment we walked into the club. I looked at Patrick and I said, like this, but bigger, in Dubai. And he said, exactly. And that kind of brought everything together, and it was really since November, December 2016 that we'd been working on the plan more proactively. This was obviously after we drew our pictures, and it really gave us a vision of what we wanted to look like, how we wanted it to act and feel, how we specifically wanted to build an athlete club, not necessarily a gym. And it was a year of just organizing more competitions and building that community base, investing ourselves into the sport, making it, trying to support the growth of the sports in the region, more so than anything else, breaking misconceptions, those kind of things. And then when we decided January 2018 to commit to it more, that's when we launched the what was in the trading business, which was the online shop, just bringing some products, making them more accessible locally. And through that we then just kept growing the customer base, and the natural progression was the club, and that just became plug and play.
Yeah. So I mean, effectively we had the plan, we started working on the plan instantly in November 2016 then.
Yeah.
So effectively it's a 2 years of planning before it kind of like physically became this. So it's not and that's probably pretty fast anyway, but that's pretty much how long it takes. If you have your dream project, it's not going to be done in like 3 weeks or 3 months. Has to be, there's a lot of things go into it, like all finance, of course, licenses and all that kind of stuff, and the construction, of course. So, but yeah, and I mean the few workshops we held and the equipment we sold and the competitions we did just was to raise the awareness of the, like, we pretty much to build the brand, right?
Yeah.
So people know, and we see the fruits of that now with what people that we associate with then, and like what kind of like we stand for, which is reflecting in our membership base now. Like that's quote unquote, like that's the type of people that we marketed to, or like wanted to get to, and those are the people that are here. Right? So
The rest is history.
yeah, no, it's just the start. It's not the rest. It's just we'll come this far. So
That's new. That's new
the
history
next
making.
one is history, right? So, and as Marco said, like, and I say this every time, that it's not a gym, it's a club, which other people maybe working or like having gyms around don't really understand the difference. But like it is a difference, because It is of course commercial because we run it, but like we run it in sort of a way that we run a club back home. This is not made for 2,000 members, 3,000 members. This is not run for class basis. This is not run in order to get maximum amount of people just going through. It's meant for the lifters. That means that we will never have 500 members. We will have maybe 150, 200, maybe 220 members, and that's the membership base we need, because we have other things that we're kind of like trying to make profitable also. So that's one of the things. I mean, so we don't. In that perspective, also, we don't compete with other gyms. We compete in that case with other barbell clubs. And that market is very slim because we're the only one.
Yeah. Who are you talking about?
Exactly. So we're not competing with CrossFit boxes because we don't do CrossFit. Yeah. But like that's
West
more
Side Barbell?
like where you can seek like inspiration and stuff. But like we don't. I mean, we have gyms across the road here and down the road.
Yeah.
And that's not our competition. It's more like it's a compliment. Like they do other things that we don't do.
Yeah.
And vice versa. They won't be sane for any other commercial gym to have, like, what do we have? 9 powerlifting bars and 4,500, 5,000 kilograms of competition plates for powerlifting. Won't make any sense for any gym to have that. But it won't make any sense for us having 6 treadmills either.
Yeah, I would to not have that.
So that's.
I mean, I don't know if it makes sense for us to have 5,000 kilos of competition plates, but we do our best. So a few red plates that are still relatively untouched.
So where are you going to go?
One day, don't we?
Soon,
Yes.
soon.
What are some of the misconceptions of purely like powerlifting, weightlifting champions?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any specific misconceptions, but I think one of them might be. Actually, it was actually Richard that said that. Richard Pavitt, like he had some friend, one of our dedicated lifters, and been lifting with us for like all this time. And he said, when he said to his friends, like, I'm lifting at Desert Bob, he's like, oh, well, that's like a competitive gym. How can you train there? Like, so the misconception is that you have to be some sort of basic strong to get here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to downsell anyone, but if people have that conception, you'll be very, very, very pleasantly surprised at how many weak people. Like, we have people here that are trying to be strong, but it's not like that. Doesn't mean we have loads of people. We have loads of girls benching 25 kilos. We have a lot of guys benching below 100 kilos. Like it's not a threshold for coming in. You have to bench or squat X amount of kilos. It's about the passion for improving what you do.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest one. There's no entry test at the door because I will guarantee you 100% you will find more. I know this for a fact because there is no one here. You will find there's one now. If you go to other gyms, any other gym in Dubai, and count the amount of 300 kilogram deadlift pullers you have, you could just any kind of random gym has 1 or 2 or 3 or 15. As in our members here, we have one that pulled on competition 300. So that's Rashid Lotta. Yeah. So if you have strength as an absolute measurement, okay, then all of a sudden we're probably the weakest gym in Dubai. But like in terms of seriousness and how much you pay attention to your technique and your actual passion for lifting, we are 100% the top one.
Yeah.
Because we have more than 100 people dedicated to only lifting. That doesn't mean that they're the 100 of the strongest. It just means that they're 100% interested in making themselves better at a specific event. That's if you go to a golf club, you will find people passionate in golf. That's just how it is.
And you guys have some beginner classes too? For like
Yeah, I mean the
beginner classes?
just before we get into that, it's the common misconception is exactly what Patrick said. People think you have to be at a certain level to come into the club, and it's really not. The club, the way the club is set up, it's meant to be for people who have absolutely no idea about strength training. And it's most of our clients, and you know, this is statistically off numbers, only about 30% of our client base are actually competitive or serious lifters. The rest of the client base are people who just come to us because they say they want to move better, they want to feel stronger, and whether we work them through some sort of powerlifting based program or weightlifting based program or general strength program, it's about that the theory of everyone has to start somewhere. And it's just an environment that says
You might as well start right.
exactly. And the big thing and what surprises a lot of people when they come in here is there are no egos in the club. There's no mirrors anywhere in the club for that reason. But generally, coaches on the floor, members are very willing to help other members. You very rarely see people walking around with headphones on, and everyone's very inclusive, wants to help, wants to support. And then, like Patrick and I were talking about this earlier, it's an almost, you almost see two different facilities throughout the day, where you have most of our morning and early afternoon is more dedicated to what we call the semi-private training environment. And again, it's people who might not be comfortable training in front of a big group of people, may not be comfortable in class, they want a bit more one-to-one interaction. And in the evening, it very much becomes a club. You get 30, 40 lifters coming in, everyone kind of has a plan, they know what they're doing, or they're joining in the weightlifting club, the weightlifting class. And we have 2 hours quite condensed and packed, but by 9 p.m. it's quiet, because that's the mentality of the club. Guys come in, they want to work, they want to get through their stuff, and off they go.
So serious, they get done there.
Yeah, and it's very easy to integrate into that.
I would say 70-80% of the PT clients we have here, because we do, like, if we call it conventional PT also, are not lifters. I mean, they do all other things. Like we may use the barbell, but probably more than conventional PTs will do for all kinds of clients, but they are not lifters. I mean, they don't wear lifting shoes, they don't have belts,
General
knee
strength,
sleeves, wrist straps. It's like ordinary CEO, like teachers, whatever, that train just regular training, and that's not lifters. So that's.
And then the other side is, what people see a lot of is the barbells. They see the competition racks for powerlifting, but they don't see the other functional equipment.
So they automatically assume that it's
exactly. You won't find a
very,
treadmill, but you will find a lot of other things, and all of a sudden you realize, okay, I can have a diversified workout. I mean, if someone came in and said they want to do pure bodybuilding, we would probably recommend them to go to somewhere else. That's just how it is. If they want to come in and purely do CrossFit, we would recommend other boxes for that, or other places for that. But if the general idea was health, wellness, strength, conditioning, that's where we would step in, and that's effectively what our bread and butter would be.
But I mean, that's what we want to do. Like, if you have someone interested in CrossFit, bodybuilding, or strongman, we recommend it to other places. Like, we don't, like for instance, they're talking about the strongman thing. For instance, a lot of people asked about yokes, or asked about we're going to have stones or whatever. So no, we don't. That's not our bread and butter thing.
Of course not.
Then we dedicate and we send them to the people that do that way better than we do. And same thing for, like, if you want to have an all-round training facility, or like a CrossFit box or CrossFit type of training, other places.
So on something that exactly tagging along, so something that you mentioned as the treadmill. I mean, since we're addressing that, might as well address that concept of the treadmill being the primary fat-burning tool for people these days, or it used to be. Can you guys clear that misconception? And how fat burning works, and what other implements, even if you're in a pure strength gym.
It became
to me about fat burning.
It became a nutritional workshop. No, but like the fat burning is like, it's. I mean, I don't know how we came into that question, but like,
I'm just since you opened the box, to open the question.
we didn't really open that box, but whatever. if you walk 500 meters on a treadmill or 500 meters in the block around here, it's the same 500 meters. So then of course you burn excessive amount of energy doing that. But so if you have one crawling around the block, running around the block, or jogging around the block, will take almost exactly the same amount of energy. Yeah. So I mean, how much of that is fat is dedicated by which intensity you do. So I mean, if you do 1 hour on the treadmill, of course you're going to burn excessive fat. Like you're going to burn excessive energy. The intensity dedicates where that substrate is going to come from. But of course, if you're searching for the answer that like more muscles or working out in the gym also burns energy, also burns fat. More fat-free mass will have like a higher energy consumption, of course. But like, I mean, it's
And there are plenty of tools for that over here.
yeah. I mean, we have the sled track here. We have the assault bike. We have the ski erg. And I mean, there's a lot of ways to.
Runner? Not yet.
Oh, we had one.
You had one, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah,
But
it's just here for demo. So
it was one of those things where our members were like, yeah, we understand the ski erg, we understand the assault bike, but you have a track with a sled, and we can run outside.
Yeah.
This just takes up space. Can we get
So,
rid of it? So it just, and again, that comes back to being a club.
Yeah.
If the members don't like it, you take it away.
Yeah, and it comes back to the easy calculation is I'm going to spend X amount of money on one of those devices. That device is worth 3-4 new bars. Very simple. If it was a sled pushing club, it was one thing, but it's not. It is a lifting club, so that's why we prioritize bars.
I mean, don't get us wrong. It has a place in other facilities. It just didn't have a place here.
Yeah.
What we do is we have some basic, we can call them machines, which is just any time a guy wants to take a break from hardcore lifting, they just want to do something a bit more functional, conditioning based. They have that option to kind of do a couple of weeks of jumping on boxes and throwing things over their head and sweating all over the place. You know.
They want to, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Excellent. Okay. Moving on to next question. So the brands that you guys carry under your umbrella of Desert Barbell, what would they be?
Well, the two main brands. It's as a business, we are obviously the official distributor of SPD in the UAE, official representative of Leico in the UAE, and again, it was just a marriage of quality. It's one of our core principles, which is quality, and just two brands that complements of what we were doing.
Exactly.
SPD just natural progression from where we were, and Eleiko was more than anything else having a club that could serve as a showroom on top of just having or giving people access to some of the best equipment for a specific sport.
Excellent. So you guys also do gym fit outs and like provide equipment for...
Yeah, so we consult a bit on some projects. We do home gyms, commercial gyms, office gyms, and it's really what we try and do in any project we get involved with is understand what people actually need. Most of the time, people will be asking for a competition barbell, and you go into the project and you think, well, actually, an XF or functional bar is more than enough, and it's doing that market education. And a lot of people that come here are really surprised. You walk through our club, you've got 6 or 7 different barbells, and each barbell does something different. And everyone kind of says,
We should do a tutorial on that.
Was it?
We should do a tutorial on that.
Yeah, we should.
What the hell are these bars meant
The
for?
thing is, you don't have to be like an absolute beginner. On the contrary,
We have a lot of very seasoned people coming here.
prime example was last week when we had 2 very good athletes coming here, and they had no idea what the difference was between a powerlifting bar, weightlifting bar, and a combo bar.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for a person that hangs around at the gym training, like maybe very well accustomed to the higher bar, to the combo bar, and then you have the no-name powerlifting-ish bar, which is a little bit too thick and a little bit too...
With some great gnarly on it, yeah.
It's some don't really what kind of bar it is, and they don't know. Like, they maybe think that is
slippery
just
bar.
a little bit of thicker bar, and that is the normal bar. When we show them, here we have 4 or 5 different bars. We have the powerlifting bar, we have the weightlifting bar for male and female, we have the combination bar, and we have the bar for the powerlifting.
also the technique bar.
And the technique bar. So you have like several different bars, And just the difference between a powerlifting and a weightlifting bar is pretty much the biggest one. And a lot of people have no idea.
About that.
They have no idea.
About that.
And then
Protein bar.
and a protein bar.
Yeah, the protein bar.
A few protein bars.
Now we have, oh man. We have a few
lot.
protein bars.
A lot. So that's again, it's that kind of like just to summarize what Patrick's saying. It's a lot of market education.
Explain to people what the Strength Summit is. And are we having one this year?
The Strength Summit. It's already been this year.
Next year, sorry.
Next year will be, the plan is in February.
I need to sleep more.
So the Global Strength Summit was, or is, we want to position it as the Strength Summit in this part of the world. So we have, if we call it the other one, and I won't call it the competitor, once again I would say that's an inspiration. It's a European powerlifting conference in London this year. I'm fortunate enough, I was invited to come there this year, so I will go there and meet the guy that was responsible for starting that one.
Or?
No, I'm not on that level yet. So the guy that organized that one, I invited him for our one, the Global Strength Summit, and as a kind of like a return favor, I was invited to come there. But the Global Strength Summit is that we're trying to get, in our book, the most influential and most interesting speakers and come and train about how to evolve and to how to increase your strength in powerlifting, quite frankly. And we've had speakers from the US, we have speakers from Sweden coming, and next year we'll be from the US and we'll be probably from some other countries also. So that will be launched hopefully throughout the fall here.
And it kind of goes back to one of our, it forms part of our mission statement, which was raising the standard of strength training in the Middle East. And a lot of that is done through education, or providing opportunities for education, learning, development. We do a lot of that internally ourselves. It's free for our members. And then some of it will be external, where we organize the Global Strength Summit, or we will send our coaches to attend another event, so when they come back they can obviously impart that knowledge with the members and so on. It's a long way to go, but
no, but also
as long as you're constantly growing
we're probably going to talk about some of the highlight moments, and for sure one of my absolute highlight moments was the Global Strength Summit this year, when we had the kind of like the training sessions, when us coaches trained with the guys from the summit, the speakers from the summit. It was incredible. Like, you have multiple world record holders, world champions. Mike Teixeira obviously won the World Games when he was there. So we had so many like really, really high class and serious athletes training here, and it was incredible. And the funny thing was that they also like felt that kind of like vibe, and they were extremely humble to the fact that we built this whole thing is for the likes of them and for the likes of us. And it's also I think very surprising for them when they come from, let's say they come from the US or come from Sweden at this time, for instance. And Isabella came from Australia also. It's the same people. Like, we are the same people that they meet in every other powerlifting gym they've ever been.
the most fun part about that was seeing how people differ in terms of their personalities from social media to actually training in real life. Isabella is a beast on social media, and she's exactly the same in the gym. The way she goes about her work is incredible. Just totally focused, totally switched on.
Dedication and like being. She talks a lot about that example, like flow state, like putting yourself in that mindset, and that's not meaning being that all the time for every single lift. I mean, you don't need like smelling salt and running around playing death metal music just for like doing five reps on the bar. Really not? No. Some people seem to think that. So that's a good example, for instance. I know exactly how many members here use smelling salts on a regular basis. That's zero.
I mean, we've had guys that came in when they first started with us. That was the mentality. It was every set was
You mean Jeff?
punish,
Come here.
get punished, get slap, loud music, every single working set, and then sniff the salt.
Yeah.
You mean you love having Ben here?
Yeah, but Ben's a strong man, and he's handsome, so he can do anything he
Strong
wants.
man.
And but now that mentality, that realization of, oh wait, actually, hang on, I need to, I'm not quite at that level that I thought I was, and it's a very humbling experience for a lot of people.
And you
kind of
don't
just-
need to hype up that much. I mean, people are different also, but like external hype is not beneficial at all times. So
comes from a man who's had 2 cups of coffee his entire life and never had great workouts. So.
I've had 4 cups.
4 cups, sorry. And the just going back to what we were talking about with the Strength Summit, having
Starbucks?
imagine
What?
I think the most surprising person for me watching training at the Strength Summit was probably Bryce Lewis, being the world champion 105, comfortably deadlifting and squatting over 300 like
Looks
just
so effortless.
but it's how calm he is before and after every lift. I remember watching him squat, I think it was 310 or 312 or something, somewhere up there.
12 and a half.
312 and a half. Re-racking the bar and almost skipping away from the platform, like nothing had happened, like he was running through a meadow, and it was just,
He's running through the middle.
it was
Yeah.
literally, that's what it looked like. It was just, he was so relaxed. Yeah, it's just, and he just, I just like, oh. It was a very enlightening experience for me.
I think that's sort of
Very humble.
it's true to like a lot of people see the heavy weights that they're lifting and think that it's a maximal effort, but that's kind of proving the point that like most of us we're well below maximal loading for the majority of our training, and so even though they're lifting 600 pounds, that's like still
It's working sets for them.
Easy
Yeah.
working sets. So it's all relative from where we're at. Shall we?
Yeah, maybe.
Should we move?
So, we briefly talked about you doing the first power meet in 2016. And I know that was a kind of a big thing towards starting to build the community, build awareness of what powerlifting is as a sport. For a lot of people here, that was their first exposure to a powerlifting competition. So are we going into the 7th? Seventh power meet now in September. What are the plans for power meet and expansion into that?
This is a question we get asked a lot. It's a very tricky one to manage. From a club perspective, we achieve the goal is to have 80 people competing over the weekend. For no other reason than it's, if we can say, manageable. It's 40 people per day. It's a lot of lifts, and it's kind of making sure we get through it. That people have a good experience, and the challenge that we have to keep in mind is that it is at its heart, it's still a club competition, and we have to be conscious of not spoiling people too much, because we want them to take that next step, if they can, obviously, to compete in bigger competitions. But the other side is keeping it at a level where, if you're not that serious, but you use this as something that you want to enjoy yourself, it still stays enjoyable.
So let's put it this way, because Marco said bigger competitions, which I know for a fact isn't really the truth. Because if you go from the power meet, which is, because I've done almost like maybe 80 competitions in my life, and I've been on a handful that is bigger than the power meets.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if people think this is a small comp in terms of the actual like fame again from whatever, this is a club competition. This is grassroots level. Yeah. So if you go from this and go to do like the competition we did in Sweden, which is a fairly big one for being a league competition.
That's a regional?
It was just a league competition. In terms of how it looks, it will look, even though we do good competitions back home, it will look less fancy than the power meet. So in a way, we don't want to have the power meet growing any bigger, because as Marco, we don't really want to we can't spoil people even more. We can't have the power meet being in the tennis arena. We can't have the power meet being in like the Mall of the Emirates or Dubai Mall, because it's just a gym competition.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't have the mindset. It is something else. It is a gym competition. That's why we host it in the gym, in the club. Like, of course, it is a club competition. So if you go from that to a competition, like say in your own home country, that will probably look a lot less legit than our competition. And to be frank, also, out of all the competitors that have been through the power meets, and I speak also of the actual winners of the power meets, they can by no means go and like place super well in a real international competition. The level is not here, not here, not here, not here. It's here. So, and just for a benchmark of that, just before you came, for fun, I just said to Mark, I'm going to check where I'm at the Swedish rankings. So I'm fairly good for being an old guy, a masters lifter. I'm number
26 in Sweden, in the 105 category. I'm not even the top 100 of the lifters in all categories. That's the level. I mean, the world record in my class is 895. 895.5. My absolute best, if I
In your
combine
class,
my program,
895. Jesus.
and if I combine, and that just happens to be your class also right now, what? Yeah, so that's 895.5. That's the world record. The qualification.
Nice way to say I'm fat.
So the qualification rules for being in a national team, for instance, is insane. Like if I were to be an aspiring lifter to being in the Swedish Open national team, if I don't do a bit over 800, people like laugh at me, think I'm a fool, like I can't come to this. So like the level is extremely high. So for instance, in Jess's class, which is also it's extremely competitive. We have 5-6 girls only back home over 500 kilos. We have more than 25
you
girls
have
over 400.
Last time
That's only in one small country.
400 something.
It's one small country. So the world level is absolutely incredible.
Whole new level. Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, for us, what we just keep doing is it's anything and everything we do for the power meets is all about looking after the participants and making them feel special.
Give them a good experience. Regardless if you bench 25 or that was a good example. So the Army 5 we hosted, I remember that one of the girls benched 25 and one benched 85.
That's the level. That's right.
25,
Yeah, if you
85.
85, yeah.
And the level of excitement was the same.
Yeah, it was the
same.
same.
Just that
We had
it's
one guy squatting 75, 80, and one guy that's squatting 300. Same. So I mean, the most memorable, I think, for a lot of people, both after and on that competition, was when David Sabinsky pulled his deadlift. That's 120 kilos off the world record or something in only one lift. But it was very hyped up.
It sure seemed like a world record.
Yeah, but it was very not so. But the excitement was like world class. The excitement was world class. For him, it was astonishing, a very, very special moment, because all the guys that he started lifting with, Mark included, Raysalan, like Omar was there, everyone was there that they started lifting with. Very special moment.
Yeah.
But what we also recognize, and especially in the region that we work in, that for a lot of people, there are no competitions for them.
Yeah.
And the Power Meet has become that competition where they can
People look forward
they
to
can
it.
measure themselves
Yeah.
and they can feel a part of something, and they feel that it's at a level that they want to commit time to compete and be a part of it.
Yeah.
Quite
And
frankly, a lot of the nations that we see here, they don't even have like legit championships. They don't have, maybe they don't even have their own federation.
Stepping
So,
stones,
and also that being said, maybe, just maybe, they don't have the time, the will, the economical means, and the interest to travel back home for doing competition. So why should you travel 4 hours on a 5-star hotel to the competition that is a fifth of the layout that we have? We have it right
Yeah.
here, like it's like 15 minutes with your car, and it's in your own club. So,
Good.
I think for me personally, having the opportunity to have the like exposure to some competitions,
Yeah.
start to see like what I could learn from that experience, and understanding that it was going to be a multiple year process until I could like justify traveling to Australia to do competitions. Like that was one of the first conversations that we had, was like, are you willing to commit 3 to 5 years to be able to possibly represent Australia one day? And that was part of, by having the Power Meet, it gave me that exposure early on, so I could get a lot of experience, and I wasn't going home as a complete like beginner and getting my first ever competition experience there. And I'm forever grateful for that.
So let's look at it as like a stepping stone.
Yeah. I think it reminds me of a similar. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. One of your coaches, Chris, I think he competed in one of the first Power Meets, right? And now
he
he's
was in the third one.
now he's trying out for Team GB. He's in Team GB.
No, he's going to do the GB Nationals.
GB Nationals, yes.
Like,
So it's like
this is
exactly what we're talking about.
exactly what we're talking about. So Chris, which is he's a strong dude, right? Is he top 20 on the overall ranking in the UK?
Probably not.
He will be it's right now, as in the last entry date is on Friday, so it's just squeezed in the top 10 for the nominations for the championship. But not all lifters do the championship.
Nice.
So that's the whole reason trying to grasp that this is good level, this is intermediate level, this is very good level, this is for our matter of fact really very good level. That's another level.
Yeah.
That's national team. That's like insane. Chris shot for the best for Bryce Lewis level. That's up
Yeah.
here. So that's
But just
you have to get exposure. Like if you have long-term goals, you can't just sit around in your chamber thinking you're going to win the Europeans or whatever. You have to compete. You have to start somewhere.
Have to start.
And the other side of it is, and what
Start.
makes, yeah, exactly, start. The other thing with the Power Meet, which is also very humbling, is the opportunities it creates for the wider community. All of a sudden, there's a need for a service for people to coach people into a meet, or to meet prep. So it's not just within our club. It's nice when we see people posting from other places about what they're doing and how they're preparing and the coach they're working with, and it's about that bigger, wider community,
That's amazing.
getting everyone involved, and that's very special for us.
I think also, like, props to you guys when I did that first Power Meet with the 3 women competing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
five girls.
I think there was only 3 in the
Was it
first
3?
Power Meet.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It was yeah.
And now you have like 30 women.
I think it's 33 in the latest.
Yeah, and I get messages all the time from women saying, I saw the girls at the Power Meet, they were having so much fun, I want to try it. And people who are completely new to lifting, and if it hadn't been for the Power Meet, that wouldn't be happening. So that's
Oh,
huge.
that's fun because that's the feeling always. You know, we know that we see it coming from a mile, and we know it's going to be the exact avalanche of feedback afterwards. Because especially the girls don't think that can it be this good, like camaraderie amongst the lifters, and afterwards it was.
It is.
It went a long way, and we have lifters that we want to reach from the like. That's not how to put it. It's not the common lifter. It comes from all kinds of like walks of life. If they're within fitness, functional fitness, school teachers, whatever, they all come together and realize, man.
Or even low fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly no fitness.
But not to be funny, but it's
No,
but,
that's just like this. I have people haven't lifted a barbell in their entire life 3 months before the time.
Yeah.
So like when I asked
That's
a
actually-
specific individual, so did you in your wildest dreams just a year ago thought you're gonna stand on a powerlifting stage? My friends thought it was absolutely crazy. And now those are some of our most dedicated members. And just that they're not by any means the strongest, but the dedication and the will to improve is
and
Good on you guys.
and that's just the beauty of powerlifting in general. It's probably one of the most accessible sports in the world. You see
Yeah.
people starting from all ages,
starting and
experiences.
coming into it too. Like
Exactly.
There's no
And
scaling. The scaling is
Yeah.
not on the bar. So just coming from CrossFit, I can't go and do like even if I have like fairly good fit overall fitness, I can't do like one of the workouts in the probably not even in the open if it's the wrong exercises. If it's
Probably
like
the right
muscle
person.
up, it's handstand push-ups, and it's like walking around. Okay, I'm gone. You have to scale them. Other things. So that's the natural scaling is in on the bar.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
live in the same room as Bryce Lewis just because he's going to have more reps on the bar. That's the same movement.
do the same thing, Bryce. Just you have more reps.
Do the same thing.
they're doing the same thing. We just have more weight.
We can also skip on a menu after we lift. So, and the effort is the same.
But for us, it's Power Meet is like where it all began, and it'll always be something special to us. It'll always be something that we look forward to, that we know we're going to be throwing a lot of man hours into, but it's always worth
Yeah,
it.
but nothing going to overtrump Power Meet.
5.
We worked, I think. we put
5
in
was at
maybe-
the hotel, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking we averaged maybe 17 hours a day manual labor for the last 3 days. It was insane.
5 trips to Russell Kheimer 3 days before, shipping all the equipment 3 floors up, 3 floors down.
You guys
We
had
did all-
very bloodshot eyes for me.
Yeah.
I remember just lying on the floor on the second day after we did all of that, and it was myself, Brandon, Patrick, and we had Noriana helped out, Anna helped out, Jasmine helped out. We had Ali come through to do some technical stuff at 11 p.m. and we'd gone off at 2 a.m. And on the second day, I walked into the competition room at about 7 a.m. and just lay flat on the carpet, and Waleed just came and gave me a massage, and he's like, "It's okay, buddy, it'll be fine."
Also, the 6th one we hosted here was an absolute breeze.
Yeah. In
Yeah,
comparison.
it's right here. We moved a rack, we moved some weights, put up like a backdrop, and like put up a projector.
And done.
Good to go.
Yeah.
So it's like incredibly easy. And which, I mean, that's some work also, but it's like, it's not even a tenth of the work that we moved the whole thing to.
And I think what surprises us the most about the Power Meet, and we're very thankful for this, very humbled, is every time we open the registrations, we're always surprised by the response.
Boom.
10 days, we opened the registrations, within 10 days we closed it. 95 people registered for the Power Meet 7, and we were, whoa, like, okay, stop.
We had 30 entries the first 5 hours.
Yeah.
Remember you
Well,
telling me
And a lot of new faces, which
the
is
demand is
good
getting
to see.
very high now. So people plan their years around the next Power Meet. So, and because of the
Devastating.
standard of the competition and how it's
It's
run.
going to be treated. Because the thing is, even if it's not the venue, it's the time.
Yeah.
If you had this competition at the tennis table, not running in Mosman, it's the time.
No.
Yeah.
You have every
And the way you guys
has-
run it so
has
efficiently,
9
yeah.
lifts.
Yeah.
They're going to take exactly the same time.
360 a day, right?
Desert, not right here, but it takes the same time.
Yeah.
So it's about the only thing that will be is 3 days.
But the point that you made earlier is that, like most places everywhere else in the world, like in Australia, like the competitions are capped at 30 people.
Yeah.
And if you don't get in, you don't get in. Registrations sell out within an hour of an opening. So like time zone difference, I'm here trying to like be awake at the time zone when it's on sale so I can register to do a competition at home. And like, so people here actually have it quite good if they've got a day or two to
And there's
register.
80 spots.
So it just means you got to plan ahead.
Now those 80 spots will fill like
I wish everyone could be like you. That would make my life so much easier.
They learn when they realize they miss out. So
And it's always a difficult one, especially for us, because and you will get it. You will get guys 4 weeks before the event. Oh, I didn't realize it was open, or I missed it. And it's hard saying no, but it's just you have to, in a sense, respect the people that did register when.
Let's talk about really quickly one of
we've been going for like 55 minutes.
yeah,
So.
one of the most memorable moments so far.
Yeah, but I think it's. We're already talking about the Power Meet 6, the first one we held here, and the whole vibe around the October 20th.
same thing.
It was
It's
a
a special place in your heart.
And whatever, but like those are the highlights.
that the feeling of having the first power meet in the club, and I remember the morning of briefing the spotters, and the girls were getting ready to warming up, and I was standing right here where we are now, and I finished talking to the guys, and I looked up, and I just saw rows and seats of people sitting, waiting in anticipation of this event, and we looked up, and obviously we see the big Desert Barbell sign at the back, and it was that moment of, wow, our club has been open for 4 months, and I'm finally having that this is real moment, and like this is actually happening. So that for me was one of the biggest highlights, and like Patrick said, GSS kind of having all these really strong people running around the club, and having Patrick program a deload week for me, so having to stand next to Isabella while she was deadlifting 20 kgs more than me was a bit tough, but humbling nonetheless.
And also when we had hosted a weightlifting competition for the MS Federation.
Yeah.
So it all ties it all in. Like we're not the ones. But we
Correct. So that's something I want to talk about.
Yeah. But we also have super good weightlifters here. We have the weightlifting community. We have the weightlifting club running. Ina and Rami did a very good job with that. And once again, it's about passion. Like, this is not a competition who will lift the heaviest. It's about the competitive side of it is, but like for them and for the people in that lifting club, it's about bettering themselves.
Yeah. Being better every time.
I think one of the most passionate members we have is Franco.
Yeah.
He's insanely passionate about his weightlifting. He's by no means the best one. He's like way better than I would ever be. But like he's very, very into bettering himself. And he's not aiming to beat anyone else than himself. He's very, very good.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah, and he's humbled by the whole experience being around the Eleiko equipment, the Eleiko platforms, all and training alongside Ian and Audit, really good lifters. So that's kind of what that would be. But it's free, so the GSS, the power meet and the weightlifting competition sticks out.
Nice. Let's move into the next one.
I'm thinking we've already been going for an hour.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we should just...
Maybe we should break this up into a part 2 when we talk about Patrick and Marco, the lifters. And so let's just end on a marketing. What do we call it? We call it shameless marketing. What can people expect with gym membership prices here? Are there different layers, or is it just one?
It's
Club membership.
There's no gym here. So basically the structure is very, very simple. Obviously you have your options to pay monthly, 3 months, 6 months or 12 months. We don't have a contract period for monthly. The monthly rate is $449. $449 then as a member to the club basically means you can join the weightlifting club, which is twice a week, every Tuesday evening 7 p.m. and Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Those are supervised structured weightlifting sessions. Ina and Brandon run those. And then obviously all the internal events, the workshops, the clinics, nutritional talks that we run, those are all free for members to attend. The next level up is we do the programming. So programming is effectively whatever your objectives are, whether it be muscle, strength, nutrition. We have that service available to the members on a monthly basis, and we also have it available for non-members, so you don't necessarily need to be a part of the club to access those services, and it's all just goal-oriented. We find that most of our members who are on that do the programming up to the power meet, and then we have our conventional PT, which what we will normally do is when someone joins the club, we will do a trial session or an assessment, and from that we will determine actually if they do need PT or if they don't, if they can go straight into programming. Because the reality is that some people don't actually need PT, they just need direction, and the reality is that some people just need 4 or 5 sessions. Exactly.
Yeah, technical guidance.
Exactly.
Excellent. So that sums it. What can we expect in the near future from DB?
Educations and seminars.
Educations and seminars.
And I mean,
What's your next one coming up?
What's it?
What's the next one?
So it will be announced soon. Obviously, GSS or the Global Strength Summit will be one of the big ones coming up in February. The Power Meet will still continue to be something that we will work every 6 months. So we'll do an event every April and every September. But we have a few things boiling under the pot for the education side of the business.
But on the smaller, we have a few bigger things coming. But on the smaller side, when this is broadcasted,
aired,
we'll probably announce that we're gonna have another deadlift workshop. So we do a deadlift workshop, a squat workshop, we do a bench press workshop, come back in schedule like that. We're also sending out email to all the participants that entered for the Power Meet to do a competition seminar. We just go through the theoretical aspects of how an actual competition works, because there are a lot of people that sign up, they don't really know, they know what lifting is, they don't at the gym, but they don't know how a competition is run. So we want to give them that opportunity to get a good first experience, and that's what we do that one in our seminar. We just going through how it actually
That's a great idea, actually. Excellent.
Yeah, we've done that for the last...
Nice. Beautiful.
So if people want to get in touch with you,
Three easy ways. The website, which is just desertbarbell.co, our Instagram, desert.barbell, or just come and visit us at the club. We're easily located on Google Maps. Tons of parking outside, so come in anytime. Any of the coaches will be ready to help with the trial session.
Where can people stalk you?
Where can people stalk me? Generally in the club. I basically live here. I'm a more of an in-person stalker kind of guy.
Got it, yeah.
I'm not really good with technology and
Creep
social
around the
media.
corner.
so-
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Well, Patrick and Marco, a pleasure to have you guys on the talk show again.
Thank you.
I look forward to having another one with you guys soon.
Good. Who were you going in for there? I don't know.
I was like, we go like that, under the table.
Do it.
All right, guys, if you like what we do, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and stay strong and stay hungry.